Hey, good morning, everybody. It's a cold, cold Wednesday morning, at least in Northeast Ohio. I know in a lot of other places it is. Not sure where you're watching from, but it's freezing here. It's a hoodie and sweats day in the studio. There's one heat vent over here, and it's covered up by the bed, so I just almost knocked my whole desk over. That's how cold I am. I was going to burn it for warmth. How are you guys doing this morning? I got Natalie, I've got Max, and I've got Jared with me. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Cold,
All right.
frigid.
Yeah, it just even feels cold inside. Like the walls feel cold. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I don't know. It's some NFL playoff football is heating up a little bit. At least maybe that'll keep us warm. We've got some coaches moving. Some legendary coaches on the move. It's weird. It really feels like the end of an era, and it's like one of those like sudden grow up days for me. Like these guys that I don't want to say I've grown up because I'm 44 years old, but I mean I've lived a significant portion of my life watching these guys coach football. Especially just where they've been for Nick Saban 17 years, Bill Belichick 140 years in New England, I think it was, wasn't it?
Around there.
It's wild. Well, we're on to Cincinnati, but yeah, I just it's I don't know where he's on to actually, but it's weird to watch. He's going to be in somewhere another place. Saban's just retiring. Good for him. He's 72. He deserves it. We'll get to that later, but yeah, it just feels like I said, it feels like one of those days where I'm growing up. Like I was today years old when I realized like life jumped this far ahead for me. Anyway, doesn't matter. I guess you get old. That's what happens. What do you guys want to talk about? We got some headlines to get to first. Hey, let's check in with the Cavs. How about the Cavs? I mean, the Cavs suddenly have won 5 straight games. Like they're gelling a little bit on the court. They look decent. They'll take on the Bucks tonight. I mean, are the Cavs suddenly further in the 4th spot in the East? Are they for real?
I mean, last time we talked to them, they were in like the 8th seed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Chad. I went to the game this past Monday when they faced the Bulls.
Yeah.
Great game. Glad they won. They had a 19-point lead. They almost choked it, but eventually pulled out for the victory. Donovan Mitchell doing Donovan Mitchell things, making behind the arc threes. Jared Allen doing great, keeping the ball alive for the Cavs, really rebounding very nicely. Those two leading the way while Garland and Mobley are out. But honestly, they faced the Bulls. The Bulls were the ninth seed in the East on Monday. They're not that good. They're under 500. And to be honest, they didn't play that great either, even though they won by a lot. Like they were missing shots. They were turning over the ball a lot. Granted, I know we're injured, but I obviously I want them to continue to have success, but I think it really ends tonight taking on the Bucks because the Bucks are one of the top teams in the East.
Yeah.
So
sure.
They have to keep keeping themselves alive for the next month and a half until they get Mobley and Garland back. Because I mean, we talked about it on the show a few weeks ago about possibly trading Mitchell. With how the season's been going, with the All-Star break coming up, I really don't think you trade Mitchell. I think you keep him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, and now suddenly, New Jersey has Royce O'Neal on the trade block available, and Donovan Mitchell and O'Neal are they're close friends. I mean, it's been rumored that the Cavs may be in on O'Neal, maybe like kind of searching for a way to get him on the roster. Maybe that helps keep Mitchell here long term, or at least
for the time being.
Yeah, for a small extension or something, 3-year, whatever. I don't know what they're going to do with the situation. Maybe that helps. I don't know.
Yeah, Garland got cleared. He got the wiring removed from his broken jaw.
Yeah.
I mean, he's cleared to play, but like not play, but basketball activity.
Right. Yeah, you got to get back up to speed. It's going to be a while before you can take contact. I mean, I know basketball is technically a non-contact sport, but first time he takes an elbow to that thing, I'm sure it's gonna let him know. He's going to be a little nervous about it. But yeah, I mean, the Cavs, like I said, they've been playing some defense. They've gotten back to like the defense first kind of, the roots of this. And they're 10-3, I think, over their last 13 games. Yeah, it seems like we kind of wrote them off, and maybe they watched the show. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they're playing well.
No.
I'll take it.
I will tell you what, the next time you guys are at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, go to Banditos. Got this Baja Shrimp Bowl. Was phenomenal, exceptional. Shout out to Banditos. They have great Mexican bowls, and I got the shrimp bowl. Highly recommend next time you go.
Nice. I don't think they were open. We were just at the field house on Sunday. We went to Disney on Ice.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, my son wanted to see Lightning McQueen on the ice, and my daughter was they were in awe, man. They had a good time, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, next time I'm out there, I will stop at Bandit.
Next time for a Cavs game, at least.
Yeah, right. Anyway, we'll stay in the NBA. The Mavericks are another team that's kind of starting to round back into shape a little bit. Our old friend Kyrie Irving kind of helping them out. He's been playing pretty well. I think over the last 7 games, averaging like almost 35 points a game, 7 rebounds a game. Just suddenly playing well. I don't know if that's a sign of maybe maturity for him. I don't know. Yeah, just kind of good to see the Mavericks, I guess, kind of getting it figured out a little bit. Have you guys been able to watch them at all?
They were the 6th seed in the West the last time I looked, and I think it's like you said, Chad. They're maturing a bit more.
Yeah,
And I think Kyrie is starting to settle in, starting to feel comfortable being in Dallas alongside Luka Doncic. So I really think the Mavs can make a run this year because we've seen it. Minnesota's at the top right now in the West, and OKC is at number 2, and the returning champs, the Nuggets, were at 3 the last time I looked.
Yeah.
So I think the West is really wide open this year. With all the teams that are at the top that we didn't think were going to be there, all the teams that are lower than they should be right now, like for the Lakers, for example, and with the Mavericks within this 6th seed right now, not having to play the play-in, they're the 5 now. Mavericks are the 5 seed. Yeah, with the Mavericks being the 5 seed, not having to be in the play-in, that just helps their cause tremendously.
Yeah, appreciate you, Max, with the eye on the standings over there. He's got the updated standings. We need that, right? I don't know. I mean, Luka's been out 3 games now. I don't know. It's hard for me. Natalie, maybe I don't know. You probably do. You have a hard time catching up with West Coast sports? Like I feel like the West Coast teams are like, even though I stay up late, I just don't find myself watching sports that late at night. I'm always doing something else. I'm trying to catch up on stuff, and it's like that stuff happens, and it's like it's in a void,
No, really. I'm like that too. I'm usually up taking notes for the show or doing something online, with the Come On Rep channel or, doing something with my son and his homework with his trying to get in the NASA program and all that. So it's a lot, But yeah, I try to keep a small eye when I can and, enough for some expertise for the show. But I think like as far as the Mavericks, Kyrie is getting more adapted and playing, more collaboratively with his teammates and stuff. And it's actually good to see that, because we know the history and stuff, and it's good to see that he's getting more comfortable in his setting, in that setting.
Yeah, it's good to see people just comfortable in their own skin and kind of you don't want to see people struggle. I mean, obviously he had all the the media relation issues. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Right. I'm not going to get into it, but it just seemed like he had a hard time getting along with people for a while, and it's good to see him kind of like you said, just playing more collaboratively with his teammates. They look like a team, And good to see guys doing well. I don't see guys doing well. I mean, he was a huge part of that Cavs championship. Let's be honest. People act like he was the only part of it, which clearly isn't true. But he did hit a huge shot, obviously down the stretch. And that, and we got to. I don't know. I root for him. Whatever. I wish.
Me too.
Speaking of teams that are maybe a little bit lower than we thought they would be, what's going on with the Warriors? The Warriors just really aren't good. They're 18-22 right now. What are they? They're at the 12th spot in the West. Some people thought they might have been in the Eastern Conference, but we found out they're in the West. Sorry, stupid inside joke. But I don't know what's going on with the Warriors. Draymond Green said there's just no pride there when they play, but it feels like more than that, doesn't it?
It's safe to say.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's safe to say, Chad, that this Warriors dynasty that we've known through the early 2010 or the late 2010s is done.
Seems like it.
It's over. Like you can go off into the history books as one of the greatest dynasties in the late 2010s, but this run that the Warriors have been on is over. I think they're done. Like you said, like Draymond Green has said, there's no chemistry, there's no bonding, nobody's on the same page, they're not communicating well. They're under 500, which is a rarity for the Warriors as of late. Yeah. And with all the problems that Draymond Green has been having, and the frustration with Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry, I really think Draymond Green and Klay Thompson should hang it up. I mean, Draymond Green is not getting along with anyone. Yes, he had counseling and he's come back, but I don't. What else does he have left to prove? Let's be honest here. And Steph Curry, I think it's just there to be one of the faces of the NBA and to continue to play the game that he loves and to break records. Draymond Green is not in that position, nor is Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
So I think those two. I think honestly, either those two should retire, or once Steve Kerr leaves, they'll leave and retire because they love Steve Kerr so much.
So what happened? I mean, why couldn't they sustain this thing? I mean, it seemed like they had like the perfect
I mean,
model. They were
their
impossible to beat on the floor. Like, what happened?
KD left. That's why.
Yeah.
Ever
Yeah,
since
they lost Kevin Durant. I mean,
But they won before him.
they won before him, and then won a championship after him. But still, and that was like what they won in 2021 or 2022.
I honestly have blacked out the last like 4 years of the NBA.
I think it was 22.
I'm not even sure.
So
Like this time of year, yeah.
Durant was in Brooklyn at the time, and he was supposed to be playing with Kyrie and James Harden.
Yeah.
Those three only played 8 games together. I mean, those three could have been a dynasty in Brooklyn.
well, the Warriors, obviously, Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, that issue happened.
Yeah.
They've had injuries over the stretch, especially Klay Thompson with his injuries. And the Andrew Wiggins, another player that was great for them last year, has not been the same this year.
Yeah.
One guy that we know really well as Cavs fans because we originally drafted him, and he really hasn't been the same this year compared to last year. His numbers have dropped.
We always talked about what could have been, meanwhile we were, going to the finals every year with Kevin Love because of that trade, and people still were like, well, keep the prospect. These guys are prospects. I'll take the proven Kevin Love anytime,
Right.
And the results. I mean, 4 straight finals, a championship. I know it was only one championship, but it was one championship. I mean, it's really hard to win an NBA title, man.
Especially if you're a Cleveland fan.
Yeah. I mean, we know it was 50 some years, we know how it is. Yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's about it in the NBA. I don't know. We're moving on. Time's going so fast. I want to move on. Did you guys see Grayson Murray win the Sony Open with like a 39-foot playoff putt? Did you see that to clinch the? That was.
It was insane. It's a great way to start off the PGA Tour.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of big tournaments coming up in February before the Masters reach in April.
Yeah.
So the PGA Tour, like it's started, but I feel like it'll officially be here once March reaches. As the weather starts warming up and things like that.
I feel like they needed a little excitement too, with everything kind of going on in the golf world. Like the PGA Tour needed a moment right now. You know?
Right.
Plus, it's nice to have warm thoughts, and this thing happened in Hawaii, and it's just got to be way warmer in Hawaii than it is here right now. So,
oh yeah,
big warm thoughts. Yeah, I don't know, not much to say about that. I guess we'll keep our eye on what happens with the PGA and Live Golf, everything else going on. It's all going to play out. There's nothing we can do about it. We'll watch it happen. But I want to talk about before we get into the playoffs, and obviously we locally here, and even Jared's a Cowboys fan. There's some heartbreak coming up, I guess, when we talk about the NFL playoffs. We're talking about that wild card round. Let's talk. I mean, this past week has been crazy, just for the coaching landscape. I mean, what's going on? You've got Bill Belichick, parting ways with New England. He's been there for 100 years, it feels like. Nick Saban retires at Alabama. Pete Carroll is done in Seattle. He's going to stay on as an advisor, but he's no longer going to be, the on-field coach. I mean, these guys are immensely successful. I mean, I was trying to think about how to even sum up what Nick Saban has done. And I think he redefined what we see the term as dynasty meaning. Don't you? I mean, redefined it.
He's been coaching for a long time. Nick Saban coached with Bill Belichick too. And he's leaving a huge dynasty in college in the hands of someone else that we'll get to later. But no, Nick Saban said it best. He couldn't commit to players that were gonna get a scholarship and be with Alabama for 4 years. And he really said at the end of the day, it really affected his body. You're getting older, your body doesn't recuperate as well. So I think that was one of the main reasons why he said hey, I'm done.
Yeah, he's been there for 17 years. I mean, 292, 71, and 1 overall. But at Alabama, I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. 201 and 29, 117 and 18 in conference games. The SEC. I mean, say what you want about the SEC, but it's the pinnacle of college football, Yeah, and then Saban went and made Alabama the pinnacle of the SEC for 17 years.
A dynasty and domination factor, and that's what Nick Saban did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in one hand, am I glad he retired? Yes, because we don't have to deal with him anymore.
Yeah.
But in another hand, it's okay, will Alabama be able to still do what Nick Saban did, or will they go downhill?
It's bittersweet. I mean, Natalie, do you ever see a coach like Nick Saban coming along again? I mean, is there ever going to be a guy that's going to win 6 titles at one school again?
And that's that's a once in a lifetime. We won't see it. Maybe our grandkids, kids, or something.
It'll be a long time coming, that's for sure.
It's
Yeah.
definitely going to be a long time coming. Those are once in a lifetime, ordeals right there. Like, he's great, will always be great, and Belichick as well. We know about Bill.
Oh yeah, we know about Bill and Nick.
And Nick. So I mean those are numbers. Their numbers can't compare. Nobody can touch it. Nobody, and won't in this lifetime.
Yeah, it's true. And it's funny that you said we know about Bill. We actually really know very little about Bill. It's like as he got older, his coaching career went on, like some more things would come out. I think because of social media, he just couldn't control that.
Right.
But personally, I feel like Nick Saban started to open up a little more. He started to tell you a little more. I think over the last 2 or 3 seasons, you could kind of see that it was coming with Saban. Well, I guess with Belichick, who knows if it was really his decision to, I don't know. They say it was a mutual decision. Probably felt like, hey, do this or we're going to have to fire you. We don't want to do that. Maybe just step away. We'll make it mutual.
Yeah, him and Robert Kraft couldn't get on the same page. And I mean, for how old Bill Belichick is I don't know if he's older than Saban, but
I'm actually not sure of his age. I mean, I would imagine they've got to be close to him, man.
either way, Bill Belichick has put in time like Nick Saban, and he's old.
Yep.
So the fact that he wants to still coach amazes me in its own right. It's like we talked about with Alabama with Nick Saban. Bill Belichick has built a dynasty with the Patriots and Tom Brady. What else do you have to prove? What else do you want? Like, can you not find any hobbies or anything outside of football to do on your own in retirement? Like, I don't get it.
So what he knows. I mean, when you're a machine and that's what you know and that's what you do every day, you put your nose to the grindstone and you do X's and O's and you're a football guy, that's what you want to do. You don't want to stop. You know what I mean?
He's gonna do it until he goes to his grave, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
Maybe. I want to say too, just in case Belichick and Saban are sitting around watching the show, the views expressed by Jared regarding the old comment are not necessarily the views of the Ohio Media School and Come On Ref. I just want to say that. I'm kidding. I'm sure we know they're going to still watch the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pete Carroll too. I mean, we want to talk about Pete Carroll. I mean, everything he's done. One of not very many coaches have won a national title and a Super Bowl. That's definitely
Not many have as much fun as he does.
No.
I think he's
a
one of
West Coast guy through and
four,
through, man.
right?
Yeah,
1 of 4 or
That's the thing,
3.
when you're having fun
It is
doing
3.
something you love to do, you're never going to want to stop doing it. No matter, they're going to have to take you feet first. I think all of them had, an immense amount of fun. Like, I mean, when you go to work every day, and when you go to work every day, do you love going to work? And you know what I mean? When you love doing something, making money.
Yeah.
And then let's just compliment their health at this point. Because at 71, Bill Belichick is 71. I'm not sure how old Saban is.
Saban 72. Yep.
72.
Yep.
I mean, I hope I'm like that, wanting to work and wanting to be out there in the cold and the hot and all,
Yeah.
working. Because, I mean, let's be clear, that's their job. And at that age, I compliment them.
I gotta give props to Pete Carroll because
Mhm.
the way he looks, I mean,
How old is
the hair makes him look a little bit, but the way he looks, he's 72 years old. If you would have showed me a picture the first time ever looking at Pete Carroll, I would not say he's 72. I think he would be much younger. So the fact that he was able to coach for this long, looking like this at 72, is amazing in its own right.
I think it tells you something, Jared, about how much less stressful it is maybe to coach in the NFL than it is to coach in college. I mean, you see sometimes the high-profile college jobs really age these guys, man. You can see it.
I mean, Nick Saban cusses anyone out who blows an assignment.
Yeah. And he wasn't, it's funny because as you say that, he was at that point. But I noticed by the end of the year, like I was watching when they played Michigan, and he just sort of looked
like,
not defeated, but he just sort of looked like, okay, well, this is
He looked out of it. He looked out of it.
He looked tired, man, and it's okay. I mean, he's been doing this for, I don't know, like I said, 17 years at Bama. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to be done. People, I saw people on social media saying he quit on Bama. Come on, he gave you
give me a
almost
break.
2 decades of dominance in the SEC. Like
Bama should just be lucky Bama should just be lucky they got in the playoffs to begin with.
Seriously.
And for Pete Carroll's sake, going on as an advisor for the Seahawks, I wonder how much he's actually going to do and contribute because I know he's going to want to get that feeling to coach again.
Yeah, well, I think Pete, and he's a good roster builder. I think he might be fine with kind of switching over to a front office role and just kind of having a hand in building rosters. I think he's a good football guy.
The question is who the Seahawks are going to get. Because there's going to be a lot of different head coaching jobs this upcoming NFL season for sure. Whether they
Yeah, it's
fire
gonna be weird to see where guys end up next year for sure. You're right. It's gonna be weird to see guys there. Real quick before we move on, I just want to talk about Kalen DeBoer because he is replacing Nick Saban at Alabama. I do want to just, he's 104-12 overall as a head coach in college football. A lot of that, it was, don't get me wrong, it was in the NAIA, still great football, just not quite Division I level. But yeah, I mean, at Sioux Falls, he was 67-3 and won, I think, 3 national titles in 5 seasons. It was 3. I think they had 4 straight national title appearances or national title game appearances and won 3 of those. So listen, I mean, he's an X's and O's guy. He's going to get it done as far as that. But the question is, I think, can he keep recruiting at a high level, especially defensively, to keep Alabama where they've been over the last 17 years with Saban? I think that's the question.
Half that Bama team is leaving.
Yeah.
Milroe went to the portal this morning. The freshman All-American safety.
Some are decommitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some.
But at the end of the day, it's like, pick your poison. He's leaving Washington because all his offense and talent is going to the draft. Washington has no defense. We saw that clear as day in the national championship game. So he has big shoes to fill from taking over for Nick Saban at Alabama. And
you got to make the right hire. You got to hire a defensive guy that knows what he's doing there, right?
Yeah, Alabama has that reputation. They have that distinguished, hey, we're a good program, we're a good school, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, how big are Nick Saban's shoes and how are you going to be able to fill those shoes at the end of the day?
Yeah. I think to be a head coach, you've got to have a certain amount of ego. You got to have a certain amount of confidence in yourself. But I think you also have to know your limitations and understand, where your strengths and where your weaknesses are, and hire guys that, kind of help you, get the ebbs and flows so they're not so, peaks and valleys. They're a little more straight across the board.
Right.
I think that's the key. But either way, I mean, like I said, it feels like the end of an era. I mean, Saban's done at Alabama. Belichick is going to be who knows where. I mean, we'll really find out if it was him or Tom Brady, I guess, now, because he's going to – I mean, I'll give this to Bill Belichick. He's not afraid to stain his legacy. He just likes doing this. He wants to do it. I'll give it to him. That's fine. And then Pete Carroll done too. So three legends. We're moving on, and it feels like I'm getting older every day, but I guess that's life, right? Let's just get to the heartbreak first, guys. Let's talk about Wild Card Weekend because it's in the books, right? Wild Card Weekend's completely done. We know who's moving on to the divisional round. Sadly, it won't be the Cleveland Browns. Could they have laid a bigger egg on the field in Houston? I mean, what in the world besides CJ Stroud happened in that game? What went on?
It was atrocious. I mean, Joe Flacco had the worst game in his life as a Cleveland Brown, and it couldn't have come at a worser time. I mean, 2 pick sixes, and then you have the defense just not doing their job. CJ Stroud showed up, and I'm not a Browns fan, so on one hand, I'm glad CJ Stroud is moving on in the playoffs, but in another hand, because I'm not a Browns fan, but I'm still from Cleveland, I still wanted them to succeed. But at the end of the day, the offense just wasn't there. Joe Flacco wasn't there. The whole defense wasn't there. It was just a mess.
Yeah, it really was a mess.
I think me and Natalie just talked about. I don't think Joe Flacco could have done anything about that first pick six. He got hit while he threw it, and I think
it doesn't matter. You gotta know when you get hit where to throw it.
No, I think he didn't expect to be hit because he stepped up in the pocket and he threw it, and then he got hit. It was out, and he couldn't put any power on the ball. The second one,
that does happen.
Yeah. The second one, the linebacker baited him into throwing it. The linebacker was covering Harrison Bryant, and then when Flacco went away from Bryant, that linebacker dropped back into coverage, but then Flacco went right back to him, and the linebacker jumped the route.
Yeah, that second pick six looked like I thought maybe Flacco got old for a second and forgot who he played for. I wasn't sure what happened on that one.
Either way, Max, Flacco's a veteran. He's 38 years young. Or I don't know if he's 39 yet, but either way, you're a veteran. You should know not to make those throws at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, I don't want to blame this all on him. This wasn't on him at all.
Well, the defense was terrible. And why? It's really the defense didn't show up. Why is the defense so bad on the road? What happened to them this year? I mean, how can you not tackle people away from your home stadium?
But Terrell is right. That comment there, we should just be thankful we made it to the playoffs to begin with all the injuries we had.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely great. But let's not talk about Newsom getting smoked every day.
Yeah, Newsom, Ronnie Hickman, both got smoked. I think if Grant Delvin played that game, I think that game's a little bit different in the secondary wise. But maybe
it's 38-14.
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't know, but I
One
think
less pick six.
I mean, JOK was the only guy who showed up. Miles Garrett's got a problem with Laramie Tunsil. He's never been able to get by him.
Yeah, Tunsil has really shut Garrett down. Yeah, and Garrett was hurt too, and that's the perfect storm. Yeah,
that's Garrett's
well. Give
Yeah.
credit to the Texans receivers too. I mean, obviously Nico Collins, Stroud's #1 target, and Dalton Schultz, former tight end for the Cowboys. That was a great addition for the Texans as well. Those two really shined out for them. They got Noah Brown back too at the perfect time.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, like we're all upset that the Browns lost, but you got to respect the Texans. I'm excited to see what they can do the rest of the way because, we don't want the same old franchises making it the Super Bowl AFC Championship game, No,
and it's nice to see an Ohio State guy in there. It's nice to see him smash that.
Two Ohio State guys because Noah Brown's
but I'm just specifically CJ Stroud and just, the narrative that an Ohio State quarterback can't do this in the NFL. And I mean, he just carved up the Browns. I mean, what was he? Was 16 for 21, 274 yards.
He tied the rookie record for touchdown passes in a playoff game too. Which
he set and tied a bunch of rookie records for all kinds of playoff stuff. Absolutely.
The day after the game, I said, "How did Ohio State not win a national championship with this guy?"
Well, defense. I mean, the defense was never.
The defense was
they
bad.
couldn't tackle anybody. They couldn't stop anything.
Still,
But now we have the question. The Browns have the question, and I'm pretty sure it's all set in stone for the front office and the team. Who's the quarterback next year? I think some fans would prefer Flacco over Watson just because he's so injury prone.
It's almost good for the Browns that it ended like this. It's easy. If they had made a deep run and Flacco had won a couple games and had like an 80% completion percentage and thrown, 6 or 7 touchdowns, it would have been a problem, right? Like,
but I think at the end of the day, some fans would prefer Flacco over Watson, whether he's getting paid or not. You know,
absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it should be interesting to see where Joe Flacco ends up next season because he will get a starting job somewhere. Will it be the Browns? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Played what? He started the Rams through the Bengals games, right? Or the Rams through Jets?
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
He was the Browns passing yards leader with 1,616.
Hey, and don't forget, in that playoff game, Flacco also did throw 3 touchdown passes, but
yeah, Terrell, but I don't think Flacco wants to come off the bench for the Browns, considering what he did. Terrell's comment there. I don't think Flacco wants to come off the bench, considering what he did with the Browns in such a short amount of time. I think he'd rather start, considering his age.
Maybe.
Right, he'll be 40 next year. He just turned 39 yesterday.
And there's a good chance he doesn't want to go through training camp and do all that. I mean, there's a really good chance he's going to do the same thing he did this year, where he'll just go home, work out, stay ready. Keep his arm ready, keep his body ready. When somebody calls, inevitably in week 6, week 7, whatever, when somebody goes down.
Let's just have a gallon of 2% milk every game for Watson because he's going to need it. Y'all know that.
He needs more than milk, I'll tell you that.
And if we can fit some bubble wrap under his shoulder pads, maybe we can.
Well, the Browns, I mean,
he was on the field every game, bumping people up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be paying attention.
He was
to
never
what's
in a
going
sling.
on. But next season, pay attention.
I mean, the Browns fans, I mean, I think most of them will be excited for Watson to come back, but I'm more excited for Nick Chubb to come back.
Yeah.
Because I think, yes, the quarterback is supposed to be quote unquote leader of the offense, but I much rather Nick Chubb lead the offense because sometimes you just have those games where the running game does all the work for you. You don't have to throw it that much.
Well, if Watson goes out, we'll be in the same predicament. And I just want to address that real quick. I mean, you would hope that with another year in this offense, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I mean, he started to show some progress. He looked like he was going to be able to do some things in the preseason. I think with a calendar year now, in the offense, I think he may be a better backup quarterback. I don't know if you want to talk about PJ Walker or not, but it's but now Jeff Driscoll was technically the backup for that playoff game. So I don't know what the Browns are going to do at quarterback. As far as after Watson, I have no idea. Again, I think you're right, Jared. I don't think Flacco is going to sign here to be the backup. I just don't think that's going to happen. But whatever. I want to ask you guys real quick, and I'll start with you, Natalie. Just all things considered, I mean, given the fact that at one point the Browns had over 50% of the team on the injured reserve, just 5 or 6 weeks to go to the playoffs, is this season really a disappointment, or is it kind of like, okay, you take what you get and you're positively whatever? Maybe it's you move on and you're happy. What do you? I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I feel like this season is not by far a disappointment. We made it to the playoffs with a 38-year-old quarterback, our fourth one. We sustained, like you said, over 50% of our roster was injured. Our coaching staff alone made some good decisions on what we need to do to go 1-0 each week. I was very excited to see the Browns go to the playoffs and all, and fulfill our dreams in a way. But when they lost, I wasn't mad. It was just the way they lost. Getting blown out and getting beat is different. Like if you're just losing a game, that's different. But getting blown out that was pretty rough. But I mean, we need to just take it like, hey, thank you for the season. It was exciting. It was fun. We were great. I'm grateful for the season. I was happy to see us make it to the playoffs. To be honest, with flickety flack, don't talk back. I was very happy. I'm excited for the next season, and I'm very satisfied about this season. So.
Yeah, I think there's excitement. Max, are you disappointed? I mean, what do you think?
No, I don't think anyone should be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lose your starting quarterback, your starting running back, your two starting tackles, well, you lose your
A
kicker,
safety, a corner, defensive line. I mean,
The list goes on and on.
pretty much.
yeah.
And at one point, everyone thought Batonio was going to be out because he had back problems, he had ankle problems. They all powered through it.
Yep. They really embodied the next man up statement, didn't they? I mean, they really lived by that statement. I thought it was
next
amazing.
man up. They won 4 straight. I mean, they blew out the Texans, but that was without C.J. Stroud.
Yeah. I think they ran out of gas. I mean, they just ran out of gas, and they weren't good on the road. It was the perfect storm of things. I think they just they got outplayed, they got outcoached. I think I have a positive outlook going into next season. I mean, Jared, if you were a Browns fan, are you disappointed in this team, or are you just kind of roll with it and say, okay, well, next year?
The injury bug is a killer, and I'm not disappointed in the Browns season.
Yeah.
Do I think they're going to be able to do the same thing as next season? I don't know. I mean, it depends who we lose, who we get back from injury. But no, as for this season, I think it wasn't a disappointment at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Let's move on. Let's stay in the AFC real quick. So in that wild card round, the game that got delayed because of weather concerns, the Bills beat the Steelers 31-17. I had on here, will Mike Tomlin return? But that's been addressed, asked and addressed. Sorry about that. Some of these, pre-press time, whatever. But yeah, Tomlin's already said he's coming back next year for his 18th season in Pittsburgh, which is crazy to me that going back all the way to they've had 3 coaches there,
legendary coaches to stay.
4. It's wild. It's been Chuck Noll, and after I can't it blows my mind. It just absolutely
3 coaches since the 60s now, or
3 coaches since the 1960s. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild. And I don't know. It's just it's the mark of consistency. How did Mike Tomlin get them to the playoffs this year? Whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't know. Do the Steelers, are they going to be better in the division next year? I mean, should the Browns be worried about the Steelers?
I wouldn't be, because at the end of the day, their defense is what got them to the playoffs. Definitely wasn't their quarterback. And with TJ Watt going down, that's another injury that even you got to just keep an eye out for, because anything can happen. But at the end of the day, I do not think they're going to be as good this year, next year, because Tomlin has that great streak of finishing over 500, but if that streak continues, 9-8 at best, because unless you get a quarterback, you are not going to have the same success and luck you did with your defense this year.
Maybe Flacco ends up in Pittsburgh next year.
Yeah, and I don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer. Trubisky is garbage, and so is Pickett. So dump those off on the waiver wire, whatever you got to do. If you want to keep Rudolph as a backup as your draft pick, go for it. But, Pickett was their draft pick too, but, pick your poison.
I think they're going to stick with Pickett. I don't know why, but they're going to.
They shouldn't, though, because Pickett's terrible. He's garbage.
They shouldn't, but they're going to.
Flacco has better stats than Pickett did, and Pickett played more games. So I really think at the end of the day, the Steelers have to address their quarterback situation. And if they don't, they're going to be in high water.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Let's stay in the AFC. We obviously know that the coldest game in a long time. The Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7. Just completely froze out Tua and the Dolphins offense. I didn't think the Chiefs even really played that well. They seemed to kind of just, I don't know.
Well, the Dolphins were hurt on defensively. Yeah. They've had 4 out of their 6 top guys combined for 25 sacks out of the game. Yeah. So when you're losing your best defensive stars, that doesn't help. Obviously, the weather didn't help for Miami either. No. But we see it every single year. Miami cannot beat the good teams, and
it's a single team over 500 all year.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, and it's a question of, does there need to be a coaching change? Do you need to move on from Tua? Because Tyreek Hill cannot do everything. Waddle, yes, he did some things, but he didn't really blow the stat chart.
I remember last year people were saying Tua can't throw a deep ball. So like when Hill gets separation, like 3-4 yards of separation, and he's like pretty far away and he gets a deep ball. If Tua can't hit that, then like how do you expect to beat those teams over 500? Like that one game when they faced the Chiefs in Germany, he had, I think it was Tyreek wide open, but he underthrew it. It was like a 40-yard deep ball that was straight in the end zone. He underthrew it.
The only plus side besides Tyreek, I think, is Mostert. Mostert had a great season for them. Yeah, really a great story for him, being in the league for this long and finally getting the stats and playing time he deserves. But yeah, like at the end of the day, something needs to change. Like yes, part of it was the weather, but you can't blame the weather for everything, especially when you only score 7 points.
It's cold for everybody at the end of the day.
I mean, played in Buffalo last year and they did better.
Yeah. So I mean, this Dolphins organization has a lot of question marks. As for Kansas City, okay, you won a pity game. Congratulations. Don't get me wrong, Rice has played great for them. Really, their only star wide receiver besides Kelsey. So those two are really their leading offensive receivers right now.
Yeah.
And Pacheco is doing well in the running game as well for them. Yeah. The question is, are they going to be able to build off of this and beat their rivals Buffalo next week?
And what was Pacheco was like a 6th round pick out of Rutgers, wasn't he?
Something like that, yeah.
Just man, the way Andy Reid finds talent.
National champion running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they went to Pacheco. Like, where's Edwards-Helaire been? I remember he used to be their big guy.
Yeah, that's a great question. What happened to him? I don't know. It's a great question.
But they just like.
Let's move on to the NFC, though. I'm going to move on to the NFC. We'll talk about first. I'm sorry.
The Cowgirls.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Jack, can I just say my piece real quick?
You can. We don't have to get to that game right away. We'll get to it eventually, but you can say your piece.
Let's just get out of the way. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Rip the Band-Aid off.
That's fine. That's fine. We can go out of order. I don't care.
As a Cowboys fan, that was the most embarrassing, pathetic playoff loss I have seen in my life. I only watched the first quarter.
Yeah,
I turned it off after the first quarter. I'm like, I'm not watching bad football.
I turned the Browns game off pretty early too. I was like, this is pathetic. This is the performance you're bringing out, the level of defense we've had all year, and the fact that Prescott was garbage. Did you guys see this? Jordan Love had almost an identical stat line to C.J. Stroud. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's wild. They were both their first playoff game in their history, in their career, right? They were both 16 of 21. I think Stroud went for 274. Jordan Love went for 272. They both threw 3 touchdowns. They had an identical QBR. I thought that was really weird, man. It's just like maybe more proof that we're living in a simulation.
I mean, give credit to Green Bay. They've been able to find quarterbacks every single time someone has left. Yeah. So they're pulling the quarterbacks.
They're like Pittsburgh with coaches, right? I mean, they're just it's
So give credit to Green Bay and give credit to Aaron Jones too. The Cowboys all year, it does not matter who they face, cannot stop the running game defensively. And I don't know what they were doing with man coverage, leaving those guys wide open. But that's like high school, middle school football right there. Like, what are you doing
faster, Jared? You get the ball back quicker. You got more time to do stuff on offense. I think that's.
How about they just get their head out of the gutter and actually play man coverage? Zone, do something.
Run with a guy, maybe. Keep your head.
Just don't stand there and look like an idiot. Like I don't get your finger out of your nose. Like this, it was ridiculous. It was pathetic. Like Quinn. The last few years as our defensive coordinator has been great, but his head was not in the game this past weekend. I don't know where it was, but it definitely wasn't at AT&T Stadium.
You see
And
Jerry Jones turned his back on the team. He just wouldn't even watch. He just turned his back.
It was pathetic. It was terrible. It was absolutely atrocious. And Prescott played like garbage. He couldn't throw on target. His throws are not good or accurate at all.
Yeah.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb, he wasn't throwing good targets to CeeDee Lamb. He was using Gallup more than I think he should have in the first quarter that I did watch. But at the end of the day, this is like Miami. You can't beat teams over 500 for the most part, and you can't win in the playoffs. Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott have got to go. Like, don't get me wrong. Prescott has proven that he's a good quarterback. He's like a 6 or 7 out of 10 quarterback.
4th rounder.
Overall.
Aren't they into him for a few more years, though? Didn't they just – I
don't care where his contract's at. Get him out of Dallas.
Okay.
Because he cannot win a playoff game to save his life.
Bring Jared, Jim Harbaugh, and J.J. McCarthy at once.
Something. Get him out of there. Get him out of there.
Natalie, did you take any personal enjoyment in watching our comrades team go down like that, or no? I didn't really. I felt for you, man, because I just watched the Browns do it the day, but I was like, oh, this.
At the end of the day, Tony
That's
Pollard
what I'm saying.
too.
All
Tony
I could think about was Jared and this show, boy. I said, man, oh man, I so feel bad for Jared, and I don't feel because I can't stand the Cowboys. I can't stand them, but it was just disappointing. It was hard. If I was a Cowboys fan, it would have definitely been hard to watch, but it was just disappointing. I didn't expect that. But Love came out there and showed where the love really sat, and it was with the Packers. And
nobody expected it. Nobody expected it. I mean, I didn't have full confidence going in because we never win a playoff game, and we've always had struggles with Green Bay. But even Tony Pollard in the running game, he's a good running back, but did not produce the same numbers as he did last season.
I saw the score was like 500-0. And I was like, man, Jared, I was like, you think you looked like Kyler Wren a couple weeks ago? He's gonna be mad on the show on Wednesday. Man. It's gonna be a bad day.
And Dowdle, he's an okay running back, but I don't think he's off the charts. So I think at the end of the day, Dallas needs to get rid of Prescott, needs to get something in the running game, and they need to fire McCarthy. Like Bill Belichick's looking for a job. Bill Belichick, a lot of people have said Bill Belichick would be a good fit for the Cowboys.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's like at this point, as the Cowboys organization, as Cowboys fans, what do you have to lose? Like, we don't need to see a repeat of the same episode season in and season out.
Do you think Dak Prescott has what it takes to work alongside Bill Belichick?
I don't because he's been with Jason Garrett and he's been with Mike McCarthy. There hasn't been a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
And it doesn't matter who you pick up, who you lose. It's the same result every freaking time.
You're not wrong.
You need to get rid of Dak Prescott and McCarthy.
Yeah. Well, I know a coach who probably isn't going to go, and something that wasn't the same result as every other time. You guys, the Lions won their first playoff game in 32 years, beat the Rams 24-23. That was a pretty cool scene, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to hate and sit here and be like, well, my team lost. I'm mad at everybody. It was cool to see the Lions get the playoff win, man. I was really happy for them.
No, I'm happy for the Lions because we kind of, as Cleveland Browns fans, we kind of feel the same for the Lions, always having bad seasons, not being able to make the playoffs, not being able to win the playoffs. And then the Lions
parallels there. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Like you finally said, Chad, get their first playoff win since 1991. Mm-hmm. So I'm really happy for Dan Campbell and this Lions organization. They played a tough, gritty game against the Rams, especially with Stafford coming back to Motor City.
Yeah.
So I think it was a great win for the Lions. I think their defense really shined out, really holding the Rams to just field goals. And I'm really excited to see what this Lions team can do in the second round of the playoffs.
We'll see. And we will get to our predictions in just a minute here. We will get to that. I'm excited to see what they do too. Natalie, Max, did you guys get to watch the Lions at all?
I watched it. I mean, I'm on the bandwagon now.
Me too.
I think everybody in America wanted a Lions Browns Super Bowl. I think that would have been pretty cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, but I mean, Matt Stafford didn't come in. They were booing him for warm-ups.
They booed his family, man. That's too much. That's it.
Yeah,
like you gotta draw the line somewhere.
At the end of the day, why are you booing a guy who was with your organization for 12 years?
Right,
and who didn't leave, got traded. You know, like
he couldn't do anything about
Fans are
that.
brutal.
Yeah.
Y'all know fans are brutal.
So I honestly, at the end of the day, obviously Stafford couldn't do what Jared Goff has done for the Lions, but at the end of the day, like show some respect. You know,
Fans are brutal, man.
But they
Fans are
are
absolutely
brutal.
brutal. I mean, people were turning on Joe Flacco because he threw a couple pick sixes, and I get it. Like, yeah, it seems like that's what undid the game, but the defense wasn't there all day. I mean, we wouldn't have been in the playoffs if it wouldn't have been for Joe. We wouldn't have been in the playoffs if it wouldn't have been for Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
Every time I say playoffs, I feel like I need to go playoffs.
And it's not all just Jared Goff. I mean, St. Brown, Laporta, they've been contributing all season long as they did in this game against the Rams.
Yeah.
But Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, those four leading offensive scorers besides Jared Goff himself have really helped this Lions team to where they're at today.
Yeah. Don't
I
boo
think
that
the
stuff.
Lions as a team they look really good. They just look ready.
They look like a Super Bowl team, don't they?
They do. They really do. And I'm like I said, the Dirty D is our cousins in Cleveland.
I
Like,
know, right? Man, they're like
Come on,
sister
man.
cities, man. I mean, something,
That's
yeah.
right. So I'm rooting for them. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it.
A lot of people are.
Team. Let's do it. Let's do it. Real quick, I want to stay in the NFC. Speaking of quarterbacks that are really good at getting booed, and maybe sometimes people don't like their family, Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, man, they absolutely dismantled the Eagles, 32-9. We talked about how bad the Eagles have been. I think everyone saw this coming. I mean, I don't know if we saw 32-9 coming, but
They fell apart, Chad. They fell apart. And as a Cowboys fan, if we can't win, the Eagles can't either. And I don't know what happened to them. They started out 10-1 and they just dismantled and fell apart.
yeah.
Not obviously both sides of the ball, not being able to communicate at all, offensively and defensively. Both sides.
What was that, Max? What did you say?
The 49ers broke them.
They broke up. Yeah, maybe.
That was their second loss, and then they won. What? And then didn't they face the Chiefs on Monday Night Football? They won that game, and then Nick Sirianni in the tunnel walking back to the locker room said, "How you like that, Chiefs fans?" And then they went 2-6 from that point on.
Yeah, they had a lot of big wins. They beat the Bills this year too.
So listen to what happened. Sirianni made the Swifties mad is what happened. There it is.
I guess so. Well, there's a lot of people saying that Sirianni's job is on the line.
Take it off.
And I really think after
you can't go to the Super Bowl, go start 10-1, and then collapse. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't let him go after that kind of.
No, they had. This is. You go to the Super Bowl. What was their record? What, 16-1?
They were really good.
Last
They
year,
were really good. Remember how good? I mean, remember how they were revolutionizing football? Like we were like, this offense is like it's going to work in the NFL going forward, and it worked for the first 12 weeks of the season this year, and then
Matt Patricia showed up.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah.
No,
whatever record there was out here, you can't go that, make it to the Super Bowl, and then you lose in the Super Bowl tight game, could have questionable calls that game, but then you start out 10-1. Looks like you're going to go be the number one seed again and possibly go back to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And you can't lose. You can't go 2-6 down the stretch and then lose into the first round to a team who won on the last game of the regular season.
But
so I
don't think you can. No, I don't think he's out. I think you got to give him another year.
Okay.
I mean, especially because he's only been there for a short amount of period of time, and he's a focal alumni of Mount Union. So I got to root for him a little bit, even though he's coach for the Eagles.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
You know, but no, I think he gets another shot, and Tampa Bay is going to have a tough test against the Lions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's be clear about Baker. He went in there and lit it up. He threw for 337 yards, 3 TDs, and 22 for 26. That you lit it up. Yeah. And I just wasn't. I mean, my prediction was actually it's crazy.
The Cleveland Browns threw him out like a bag of garbage.
They did. Hey, listen, 2 Buccaneers quarterbacks have thrown for over 300 yards in a playoff game. You know who they are?
Baker Mayfield.
It's Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield. That's it.
Yeah.
We threw him out like a bag of garbage.
Not that Tampa has like a storied, history of getting to the playoffs, but I'm just saying.
I mean, I just feel like Baker Mayfield, because of the division the Buccaneers are in, he's so under the radar this year. Like it's hard to take a new team to a playoffs in your first year, because you gotta get used to the system, the coaches, all that other stuff.
And what killed me was the media, like, oh, since he left the Browns, he's just been amazing and extravagant. Didn't he go to Jackson? Where did he go?
He went to the Rams.
Carolina, then to the Rams, yeah. And he was okay in a couple of those stops, but
Let's be honest. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback in Carolina.
no,
They're not doing good.
It wouldn't matter.
Right. So
that
it's
was
like,
Matt Reich's last year as a Carolina Panthers head coach.
he didn't go from the
Baker
Browns to
Mayfield's
Tampa
broken.
Bay. You know what I mean? They just and my prediction. I'm gonna say this last thing. My prediction on this game was actually, I told the podcast people when I was on there, it was going to be 28-9. So I wasn't half bad on that.
Okay.
I said that they was.
I mean, if I was
with the Eagles, I'm getting better, y'all.
if I was a better, I would have betted the Buccaneers for sure.
For sure. I had my money on Baker for sure. I was sticking with that 9 with the Eagles because Jalen been stinking it up. So with the whole Eagles squad.
Maybe their security guard was it Dom DeSandro. Maybe if he stayed on the sideline the whole season, they would have been in the
Maybe
Super
if
Bowl.
Lil Wayne would have walked him out.
Man, something, right? Maybe they had Dion out there, something. I don't know. But listen, let's get to our predictions. I don't know. We got 4 games this weekend coming up, right? 4 games. What do you guys want to start? Let's start with let's just talk about Chiefs at Bills real quick. Well, how do you guys feel about this? I want to start with Natalie. Chiefs at Bills. How do you see this game going? Who wins? Why? What do you got? That's all I got.
Man, I never count Pat out. I can't count Pat Mahomes out. I gotta go with Kansas City.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 28-27 missed field goal on that one. I just don't see them losing right now. I just
Fair.
don't. It's no reason why I just don't see Pat Mahomes losing right now.
I get it. I get it. Sometimes it's just a feel. Yeah, Max, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think the Bills are going to win this. Pat Mahomes never been away from Arrowhead during the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is his first time ever on the road.
Yeah.
So I think they lose this one 35-28.
Okay.
He's never been on the road.
I think that's a great point. Jared, what do you think?
No, I completely agree with Max. I think the Bills win this one. Like Max said, Mahomes has never been away from Arrowhead, and I think the Bills get the victory 24-17.
Yeah,
Plus,
I think Max is pulling up. I think Max is pulling up the average, by the way, to mild take Max. I think that's a pretty good take.
Oh yeah,
Mahomes on the road for the first time. That's a good job out of you.
Plus, no one knows what he's like on the road in the playoffs.
No one knows.
Never seen it. So.
Never seen him. We've never seen him on the road. We don't even know who road Patrick Mahomes is. We're going to find out. Listen, I think I'm with. I think the Bills win this game. I think the Bills kind of run away from the Chiefs in this one a little bit. The Bills feel like they finally kind of figured out like a running game. As long as it doesn't go to overtime, Josh Allen he's had a terrible string of luck in overtime. As long as it doesn't go to overtime, I think they'll be fine. But I really think they win by a couple scores. I've got Bills 33-20 in this one. I think they run away from them a little bit.
I mean, at the end of the day, I would love this. I mean, the Bills and the Chiefs have been a rival for some time now.
Yeah,
especially in the playoffs. So I would love to see the Bills.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Bills get the upper edge this time than the Chiefs. I'm so sick of the Chiefs and Mahomes whining like a little baby.
Right. Well, that game's Sunday at 6:30 anyway, so you can check that one out. I think that'll be on CBS, and I think they'll stream it on Paramount Plus as well. I think Paramount Plus. Let's get to Baker. Let's talk about the other. I mean, listen, the Buccaneers at the Lions. I mean, this is just a wild. It's a wild matchup. It's a wild situation to think that one of these teams is going to be in the NFC Championship game. Who do you guys got? Natalie, I'll start with you again.
I'm going with. I mean, I love you, Bake, but I'm going with the Lions. I just feel like they're a better team, man. I just feel like they're gonna, go and be dominant from beginning to end. He's playing really, really good games. I'm gonna go with the Lions. I'm gonna go with 21-10.
Okay. Max, what do you think?
The Lions are a fresh car out of the Ford factory. They ain't stopping anytime soon.
But wait. Are they? What kind of Ford are they though? Is it a Fusion or is it like a Shelby Boss? Like
an older like Mustang. Like they're like revved up. Like they're just an old dog waiting to come out. Yeah. So I think they win this one handily, 32-14.
Okay. 30. Did you say 32-14?
I did.
Okay. I love the score. You're gonna love. Okay, I'll get 1 minute. We'll get to that. Jared, what do you think?
I would like to point out that these two teams faced in the regular season, Detroit beat the Buccaneers in Tampa 20-6 back in October. And I think that's going to be the same feat in Motor City. I think Detroit gets this victory. I really think Tampa is going to struggle offensively.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like the Lions always score a lot of points, but Goff gets a lot of interceptions too. So I feel like this is going to be a 21-24-10 game. I think the Lions win this one, though, and I would be ecstatic if they make it to the NFC Championship game. You know, even for Baker, too, because he used to play for the Browns.
Yeah.
And Tampa, besides Tom Brady, have not been good historically.
Yeah.
But obviously would rather see the Lions just because of their history versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, yeah, based off of that, I got the Lions win this one 24-10.
Okay, I get it. This is the other Sunday game. That's why I apologize to Brian, who's doing the production for us. I went out of order for the slides, but I decided to go the other Sunday game. I went to Sunday games first. This one's 3 p.m. So you know Buccaneers at Lions. It'll be on NBC and Peacock. If you've got Peacock, you can stream it there. But Max, I said the Lions were going to win this game 31-13. So we're right there, man. Okay. I really think the Lions are going to run away. I think the Buccaneers are going to, like you said, Jared. I think they're going to struggle offensively in this one. Through maybe some part of their own doing, and that Detroit defense can be really stifling. So yeah, I think they run away at home. I think they're going to win this game 31-13. I go to the NFC Championship.
Let's hope so.
Yeah,
I'm actually rooting for Neil for once.
I like it. All right, so let's go now. Let's do the Saturday games, and I'm going to start with let's start with the Packers at the 49ers. I think that's a good place to start. That's the evening game. It'll be at 8:15 on Fox. Natalie, Packers, Niners. What do you think?
That's a good one. I'm just focused on, depending on Love, if he played like he played the other day, I'm going to go with Green Bay. Just seem to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah.
And it's a successful rabbit. So I'm going to say Green Bay. It's going to be 24-21.
Okay. Green Bay with a successful rabbit. I like it. Max, what do you think?
Yeah, it'll be Green Bay because there's a thing that the 49ers lost to the Vikings this year, and when he was the starting quarterback, when a team loses to the Kirk Cousins and they're in the playoffs, they never make the Super Bowl.
You're going based off of that stat?
And
the fact that game was in Minnesota, not San Francisco?
Okay, Max, your turn is now done. I don't want to score from you.
I think we need to ask your dad's opinion for once.
Yeah, we got to get your dad on the. Do we have Max's dad on the phone? Can we patch him in?
Okay. No, but I think the Packers have the momentum now. They got it going in because they blew out the 2 seed, and if you want to come in and beat the 1 seed, you gotta have a good game against the first. You gotta have a good first game. So I
don't know what y'all are
to win that first game
there.
if you want to win the second game. Yes, in the playoffs. You're right.
I don't know what y'all are drinking over there in the studio, but
I looked on the table.
49ers screen pass.
I think the 49ers are going to win this one. Don't get me wrong, the Packers did great in the game against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are the Cowboys and the 49ers are the 49ers. 49ers can actually win playoff games. So
it's kind of hurt to say that as a Cowboys fan, but it's true. You're right. I mean,
and 49ers, I think, have better offensive weapons than the Cowboys. I mean, with Christian McCaffrey and Samuel.
Yeah. Purdy seems to be the better decision maker. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Purdy will play bad. I mean, I think he'll play enough to win the game.
Yeah.
So I see the 49ers win this one 31-17.
Okay.
I don't think the Packers offense is going to be able to sustain the San Francisco Bay Area, but we'll see.
Fair enough. Listen, the Packers offensive line has been playing really, really well. That being said, the 49ers are a completely different animal. The Niners are really good. I think Jordan Love's going to play well enough to keep this game close, but I also can see him throwing maybe a late interception to tip the scales a little bit. I think it's going to be close. I think the Niners win this game 23-16. I got them by a touchdown. So I think the Packers will kick a couple field goals. You'll see that inexperience come from Love. They might drive the ball deep or whatever a couple times early and have to come away with the field goal. I think it's going to cost them. Again, that's the Sunday night game. I think, what did I say? That was on Fox at 8:15.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to do the final pick is from the team that beat the Browns and the team right here in our division, the Ravens. So the Texans and the Ravens. It's going to be Houston at Baltimore. That's Saturday at 4:30. That's going to be on ESPN, ABC, on that network of that giant conglomerate of whatever. It'll probably be on Disney Plus somehow too. I'm sure I'll have to pay $10 extra to watch it in $2.5K on Disney Plus or something. Whatever.
Right.
Natalie, I'm gonna start with you again. Give me a prediction for the Ravens and the Texans.
Man, I love Lamar. I love CJ, but I'm going to go with Baltimore specifically because of the history with them. First of all, the quarterback, which is Lamar Jackson, is one of my favorites. Let's be clear, but it's just he just always seems to win games when they are deep, like it's super, like important, like this right here, and he's going to win it. I mean, he's going to win it. Now, I will say this: CJ Stroud, he needs to be careful with him, because his accuracy and focus on the field is amazing, and he doesn't need to take that lightly at all. He needs to pay attention. The defense needs to go straight. They need to come for CJ every time. Because he's getting rid of that ball. So
he's been really good under pressure too. It's almost like you can't even pressure him.
That's what I'm saying. So it's hard to choose, but I'm going to say Baltimore just based off of our relationship.
Right.
I'm going to go. It's not going to be that big of a gap. I'm going to go with 28-21.
Okay. Max, what do you think?
The Ravens absolutely smoke the Texans.
Smoke the Texans. Okay. Give me a score.
They win 38-13.
Oh, 38-13. So what happens to CJ Stroud in this one? Does he not find Nico Collins, or what happens?
He shows up, but it's just he can't. Like, the Ravens will send so much pressure to him that he'll be flustered and he'll make stupid throws.
It'll be the first time it'll be the first time he'll have been flustered all year because he's looking really good under pressure. Really good.
Right. It'll be like he'll be throwing the ball, but it'll be near his receivers, but they won't be able to catch it because it's all over the place.
That's like one of those dreams, man. Like the ball's right there, but you can't go get it. That's awful.
I think Max is dreaming right now with that score.
He might be dreaming with that score. Jared, what do you think? Give me a real life awake score. What do you think?
I think CJ Stroud will be fine. I mean, I don't think the Texans are going to win the game, but anything could happen because we saw the Browns beat the Ravens during the regular season, and the Texans beat the Browns, obviously, this past weekend. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense in this game. I think the Ravens pull it out, though, 31-28. Okay. But honestly, I think this is really the most anticipated game to watch because at the end of the day, I think it's 52-48% winner-wise. I feel like this is the closest matchup out of this whole weekend.
Yeah, I think it's because of CJ. Yeah, because of CJ Stroud, it is that close. But I do think, listen, in the end, I think it's going to be a little bit too much, maybe John Harbaugh, a little bit too much Lamar. It's the experience for me with Lamar Jackson. I think CJ Stroud's going to get him close, but just lacking that experience, I think he needs to, take this first step. Listen, he led the NFL in passing yards per game this year. You guys know the last time a rookie led the NFL in passing yards per game? It was 1939. What he did this year is no joke. And don't forget, he put up big numbers, missed a couple weeks in the concussion protocol. He's going to keep them close. I like the Texans. I love the direction they're headed. I love Will Anderson. I love everything about the Texans defense. It looks really good at times, but I just don't think they're going to be able to bracket Lamar enough. I think it's Ravens 27-23. I think the AFC Championship game, obviously, then is going to be the Ravens and the Bills. NFC Championship game will be the Lions and the 49ers. We'll get to that next week. We will talk about that on next week's show because it's time for us to go. So listen, we appreciate you guys so much on this bitter, bitter cold Northeast Ohio day. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching us from, we appreciate you. For Natalie, for Max, for Jared, and for me, your host, Chad, for Neil out there in the ether, probably still celebrating Lions wins. I don't know where he's at, but we miss him. We want him on the show. I want to give him a virtual high five because I almost just smacked my webcam and knocked my monitor off the table. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Go Brown.
Go Cavs.
They go Cavs.
Thanks, guys.
Go Cavs.